Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Tech Tuesday. Happy February. Oh, and happy Lunar New Year for anybody who's celebrating. Today we have Sue Hanson, who's our procurement specialist from ITS, and she's going to be walking us through the ins and outs of how to purchase computer software, various items from ITS. Before we begin, just for anybody who's new to Tech Tuesday, we have quite a few people who've registered for today's event, so everybody's on mute. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand in the reactions tab that's at the bottom of your Zoom window. And you can also post questions in the chat at any time. And Sue's going to be periodically stopping to take questions throughout her presentation. I'll also be recording today's session, and we'll be sending out a link to the recording and anything else that is helpful for today's session, any resources so that you can look at them later. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Sue. Sue, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for the introduction, Vanessa. I'm glad to be here. Welcome, everyone, to the Procurement 101. How do I successfully purchase hardware, software, and smartphone devices presentation? I'm Sue Hanson. Most people call me Sue, and I'm happy to say I've been here with Cornell for 8 years this month. It's been a good 8 years. Special thank you to the ITS team, along with the ITS department administrator, Daniel Splitgerber, and my supervisor, Ilva, along with the ITS department and you, the WCM community I serve, all help in making the experience a good one. Before I get started, I want to tell you a little bit about some of what I do as the procurement specialist in ITS. I help maintain the relationships with our ITS preferred vendors. That's Apple, CDWG, Dell, Connection, Verizon, and AT&T, along with assisting in keeping you, the community, WCM community, informed of what the ITS standard and recommended hardware, software, and smartphone devices are. I also help with product ordering. Most common ones include fulfilling quote requests, shopping cart status, product recommendations, how to process an order in WBG. I also help with product status and issues with product delivery, billing, and share how to process returns as well. Last but not least, I approve those computer-related shopping carts that come my way. So by the end of this presentation, my goal is for you to walk away with more information on how to purchase hardware, software, and smartphone devices. The ultimate goal is for the WCM community to have a smooth, clear, and precise purchasing experience. This presentation, along with links to key sites, will be available via PDF for your reference. We will also have a poll at the end of this presentation that will help us understand our audience. Hardware purchasing. How to purchase a device. Here is a flow chart of how to purchase a device at WCM. The flow of this presentation will be a little similar to the flow of this chart as well. First, I'm going to get a pointer here for you to see if I get this right. I had it right the last time. Let's see, laser pointer here. So first you want to determine what device you want to purchase. Then is what you're looking for, a standard or a non-standard. If it's a standard, and we'll get to where to find the ITS standards later, you will go on to the ITS PR vendors in WBG, and there's no quote necessary, place the order, and then tag it. If it's a non-standard, then you would get a hardware quote. place the order in WBG. And depending on the vendor, you would choose preferred vendor punch out site through the SiteQuest, or you would use describe what you need requirement purchase option. Once the product is received, then you tag it. Now, what are WCM standards? Our standards are tested and approved by ITS. And why do we recommend getting these standard devices? They are compatible with our WCM and EPIC systems. We also check for security, imaging, drivers, and applications, which are verified so that your experience is seamless for equipment setup and ITS support. Software and peripherals such as keyboards, printers, scanners, monitors don't require standardization by ITS, but we do make recommendations on our ITS site and in our WBCM, WBG, preferred vendor punch out. So in there, you'll see some recommendations that we make for the keyboards, printers, and such. And the reason why we recommend and really suggest you go with those because our techs are familiar with those particular products. And so again, this also helps with a smoother experience for setup and for ITS support. Now, what is a non-standard? Well, our non-standards are any computers equipment that is not listed on our ITS website or listed in our preferred vendors punch out site, which is Apple, CDWG, and Dell. Now, one of the things I want to make you aware of, and many of you are most likely aware of this, that if you go with a non-standard, the department will incur a higher annual maintenance charge and consultation fees. And as far as more information on our rates, you can go to its.well.cornell.edu/rates for more information on how all of that works with our rates. Now, it's determined. You started on a standard purchase. Which device should I get? Glad you asked. Here is a brief demonstration of how to navigate our ITS standards page. We have all of our WCM computer standards and recommendations for printers, monitors, and accessories. Here you can see all the descriptions of the products, links to specs, what the products is best for, important notes along with where to purchase the items. I'd also like to share, and most of you may be aware of this as well, we do have the new Evergreen service, and the link to it is on this page as well. This service is available for quick deployment of some of our ITS standards. We do our best to keep this information most up to date, and we even have a timestamp on there to see when we last updated. Now, you'll see the update in this presentation is in October, but we've actually had more recent ones as of last week, if you go to that particular site now. Okay, so you've decided which standard device you'd like to purchase. Now you can go right to our preferred vendor punch out sites in WBG. And those preferred, as we mentioned, Apple, CDWG, Dell, and also Connections. It used to be called Gov Connections before. And there's no quote necessary here. And some key information I'd like to share with you as you process your purchase orders. First, one of the things you will want to do is pin these 3 tiles. You'll see here that we have a shopping cart, shop, and there's also an advanced search. Now you'll see why these tiles are important. One of the things you want to do is tile these and pin them. You want to pin them to the home page in WBG. And next, you'll select shop to create a shopping cart. And this brings you to several purchasing options. And in this case, you would select SideQuest catalog. And SideQuest will bring you to the preferred vendors. You scroll down to computer, where you'll find our preferred ITS vendors. And then once you select one of these vendors and you submit your purchase order, one of the things you want to definitely pay attention to is the shopping cart number, which begins with 1001. This shopping cart number will go through a approval process. And the reason you want this is why this is so important to pin this to your homepage so that you can follow the approval process and know when the shopping cart becomes a purchase order. Now, if you didn't record the shopping cart number, or that it's no longer in the shopping cart status, there is an option to use the advanced search. And here you can see what your recent orders are. Now, there are some cases where there are more than one persons in the department that makes purchases. And if you cover for each other, there is an option to select team shopping cart. So when someone is out of the office, the person covering can actually view the shopping cart. Sometimes I get requests to find out the status of an order, and the staff member will provide the shopping cart number. Unfortunately, I can't view another department's shopping cart number. I can view any purchase order number. Good news, though, the purchasing department has permission to view all of your shopping carts. So if you ever just happen to not know or remember any of this and you say, you know what, I just have this shopping cart number, you can just reach out to purchasing and they will be happy to assist and tell you what's going on with that shopping cart and whether it's become a purchase order or not. And there are some cases, again, as I mentioned, where the person may not have the purchase order number or shopping cart number. And in this case, again, this advanced search will assist you with that. Lastly, once the purchase order is created, the PO will go to the vendor, and we ask that you keep record of this purchase order number for order status and returns. So if you have decided to get a non-standard, this is where it is recommended you get a quote through our hardware request form at the My Help Desk. And that's myhelpdesk.wellcornell.edu. And here you would submit, you can do a search by typing in the hardware quote and it'll populate, or you can go to request something and it will then bring you to the page where you can select the catalog and then select technology purchasing. What happens once this is submitted, it'll pass through ITS for approval. Once approved, a quote will be provided within 2 to 3 business days. And this quote request comes directly to the ITS procurement team, along with our engineers who will then work with you to get the appropriate equipment you need. Now, you've ordered the product. How long will it take to get my delivery? Well, as many of you know, there is a major issue with shortages on the chip, processor chip, glass, and part shortages. These are causing major delays, and unfortunately, it's common these days. But in general, our products are generally ready to ship in 5 to 8 business days. And if you have it customized, it will take about 2 to 3 weeks. And the difference between the two is the ready to ship is an inventory. The customized basically is, which is customized to your liking, is most likely coming from overseas. So that's why it takes longer to get your product. And now, of course, none of this really applies because of this major delay. So I really recommend that you plan well in advance for your shopping. And I would honestly recommend about 3 months, because this is going to go on for the rest of the year. And I'm not exactly sure when it's going to return to normal yet. So strongly recommend that you plan well in advance for any of the products you're looking to order. So now, once you have your device, one of the important things to note is that all of the computer equipment and computers should be tagged. And this is important because it helps us track product identity, support, billing, and inventory. Monitors, scanners, and other peripherals are not required to be tagged. Now, there are cases when you need to return the product, and I can assist with Apple, CDWG, Dell, and Connection only. WMason and other vendors, you'd need to reach out to the purchasing department, and their listserv address is purchasing.med.cornell.edu. And they will put you in contact with the appropriate person to get a return issued. Now, generally, I get these requests via email to assist with returns, but the preferable way is to submit the request through the general request form via the My Help Desk portal with the purchase order number, and then using the keyword technology purchasing. Using this keyword will put you directly into the ITS procurement team queue. And just to give you a few of our what's involved with the WCM return policy. Generally, there are no returns. There's really no, and I shouldn't say returns, but no exchanges generally. So a request can be put in with the vendor. They issue you a RMA, and they also provide you the return label. Once the product is returned and they receive it, then a credit goes against the corresponding fund number. So, and then at this point, and you don't have to wait for that entire process to work to actually reach until you get a credit. You can actually purchase the same item again or a different item. And there is the exception for Dell, and again, as I mentioned, other vendors that may allow you to go ahead and just do the exchange. They'll put in the actual replacement order, and you will not have to put in a new purchase order for the product. And as far as the time frame you have to return is 30 days. After 30 days is a partial refund. And a special note with Apple, customized Apple computers are not returnable. Now, if you have some kind of issue that's taking place with your product, the best recommendation is that you contact that vendor. In particular, the ones I'm mentioning with Apple, Dell, you would call their 800 number for them to do an actual assessment to see what's wrong with the product, and they'll further advise you what to do from that point. When it comes to CDWG and Connection returns, you would again submit a general ITS request form with the purchase order number and serial number of the products you're returning. And again, using that keyword technology purchasing will put you right in the procurement team queue. And now I'll pause for questions. Vanessa, is there any questions from the group?
Don't see any in the chat. If anybody has questions about this portion of the presentation, feel free to just type it in there. I'll wait a few seconds just to make sure I'm not missing anybody. It doesn't look like there's any questions, Sue.
Okay.
I'll keep monitoring the chat, but you can continue with their presentation.
Great. Glad we're all clear. That means I'm pretty clear, I hope, and most of you are pretty familiar with the process. Let's see. Okay, so now our next portion is software purchasing. Okay, so the software purchasing section, this one will be a rather quick review of how to purchase software licenses. And here are the best steps to take for these types of purchases. And it will first be that you check out these 3 software locations. We have our WCM App Store that's available on Mac and Windows Tag devices. Then we have the Scientific Software Hub. And then we also have the Cornell University Software Licensing at Ithaca. If you don't see what you're looking for in these 3 locations, then a software request form should be submitted. And that's also through the My Help Desk portal. It generally takes about 3 to 4 business days to get a quote for it. And what we usually do is after, and one of the other steps that I do take, once you submitted your request, we will check in with our ITS team just to be sure that what you're asking for we don't have, and it may not be generally found here, but we have them, and maybe it was overlooked. So our other ITS team members that are involved with the software, I'll touch base with just to be sure. And if they don't have a recommendation, because sometimes what you're asking for we have in another program, or it may be a better fit for you. So if that's not the case, then what I'll do is reach out to our CDWG vendor and they will provide a quote. And again, that takes about 3 to 4 business days. And then it's 2 to 3 business days for the actual online key delivery. And that's pretty much it with our software. Are there any questions that popped up for this section?
None that I see.
All right. Moving along. So we're gonna come to, this is our last section. This is the smartphone device purchasing. And this part of it, I tell you, I get a lot of requests for smartphones. And this may be very informative for many of you who manage phones, and how you purchase a smartphone and what we support. So this is what we support. We support the Apple iPhones and the Androids. And for Androids, it's an iOS 13 and higher. For Android, it's version 9 and higher. Our WBCM preferred vendors for smartphone purchases are Verizon and AT&T. Now, to purchase a phone, to get information about the process, there is a KB in our My Help Desk portal. And that provides information as to who to contact at Verizon and AT&T. It's just a really simple search that you type in the search bar and you will type in requesting mobile services and it will populate this KB. Now with these 2 vendors, and I want to pause and say that our reps are the preferable way, not through customer service. I'm sure some of you have had, and I've been told about some of the experiences through customer service. It really is recommended that you touch base with the provider rep. And also, there is the option to use the online portal. And this is fine for certain activities such as updating billing addresses, contact information, email notifications. And as I said, it's really best that you reach out to the rep, and you can include me on that email. And that's for purchasing a phone with a new account or an existing account, upgrading a phone, or to port a line from to WCM, and to also transfer lines. To gain access to their portal, I'm the only person who can give access to the Verizon portal, but as far as AT&T, our rep can give access to their portal. Now, this online access also enables you to pay a bill, view a bill, and as mentioned earlier, update the billing address, contact information, and email notifications. You can also update phone owner information. You can make the billing paperless. You can also suspend, resume service, along with many other activities in the portal. There are a lot of options they have in the portal. They've actually made some changes, a lot of changes on the Verizon portal. And so there's even for myself, I'm learning the new way to navigate the portal, but it's a nice change. And one of the things I also want to point out for those who are with Verizon, one of the key things, and some of you may have received emails from me about payment options. The payment option with Verizon, they no longer allow you to make one-time payments. They now are encouraging everyone to do auto pay. So that's auto pay, or even a new, this is something that people are doing now, is the wire transfer. That's been pretty successful as well, using the wire transfer. But the auto pay is the preferred way. And if you need assistance with that, I've been helping out quite a bit with getting the auto pay set up. And if you're having issues with that, sometimes what happens is, the card will expire, or something will happen where the finance department will kick it back, and so it may not go through. So one of the things is to really, pay attention to the notifications that you'll get. You should get confirmation of your auto pay setup. You should get notifications when it doesn't actually go through. If you're not getting any notifications about it, do let me know, because our rep assured me that you should be getting notifications about any of those things that may pop up. And like I said, it should give you those. And if they don't, do let me know. And that concludes this section. Are there any other questions? Looks like I went through that rather quickly.
We do have a couple of questions, Sue. Speaking of the smartphone, since you just went through that section, we have a question. I have an iPhone 8. It seems from the presentation that it will no longer be supported. I didn't realize that. If users have an iPhone 8 or 10, can they request the newest version?
So it actually is, if the iPhone 8 should be fine, as long as it supports the iOS 13. It's any device, and I as I understand it, when we were updating that, is that it's the iPhone 7 and up that should be sufficient. So you should be fine for your iPhone 8. Was there another phone mentioned, Vanessa?
Oh, the 10, iPhone 10.
The 10. Oh, yes, certainly. So it's any phone, I believe it's iPhone 7 and up that supports the iOS 13. As long as it supports that, you're in good shape.
Great. Another question just came in. Is it possible to request a copy of the receipt when it is on auto pay mode?
So as I understand it, and this is something that I talked to the rep about, and he said that there should be an email confirming what took place. So if you just set up the auto pay, there should be either a notification in the actual, as you set it up. There also should be an email that comes to you. And again, if this is not happening, I recommend you reach out to me. but from what I understand, you should get some kind of email confirmation that it was set up, and there should be some kind of email confirmation of payment. Although that, and again, you definitely want to let me know on that one, and I will, further confirm it with the rep. But that should be.
It looks like somebody in the chat, Penny, is confirming you will receive a payment email, or you can go online to retrieve the receipt.
Yes, there is the option now, and I haven't gone on myself, but yeah, there is a way. I've received requests where people don't have a receipt, they don't see one. And one of the things I was able to share is that, even this was with an AT&T transaction, and I did a makeshift. Basically, I went into the portal, and they have where it shows the payment history. And so what you can do, and what I actually do for AT&T, is that I do a screenshot and just make of showing the heading, showing the logo and the payment, and make that as a PDF, and finance will accept that as a receipt. So that's the cheat sheet way to do it with AT&T, and I'm sure that you can do the same in Verizon.
Looks like, this is a thank you for answering the question. We did get a question earlier in the chat that I answered, but Sue, if you want to answer as well, just so everybody is aware, is the software hub similar to On the Hub?
So On the Hub is for personal purchases. I'm not sure if that's what you answered, Vanessa, but On the Hub is different from the scientific one.
Yeah, I did mention that in the chat. And just so, because I know it wasn't part of your presentation, since this was more IT supported, tag software, but On the Hub is a resource for you to download personal software on a personal device at a very discounted rate. So for example, we do have Adobe Creative Cloud licenses at Cornell, but if you wanted a license for a personal device, you could get one at a much cheaper rate than you ever would retail that Adobe has on their site. So On the Hub is a good resource for that. If you want to do a direct download to your personal device. The Scientific Software Hub, it's not even necessarily direct download. What happens in a lot of cases is it lists all the scientific software that you have access to. And then a lot of times you'll click on it and it'll give a description of the service, and you fill out a form. Because a lot of times what happens is the person who is in charge of those licenses, sometimes they can talk with a vendor to see if they can get a discounted rate depending on how many people in your department might need that license. So it's not quite a click and pay direct download type of deal for the software hub.
Right, exactly.
But it is a resource that you can use for MATLAB and other types of scientific software that we offer at the institution.
Thank you for that. Yes, she's exactly right. It is, and it provides instructions as to how to gain that actual license. But yes, it's not a direct download like it is for your personal software purchases, where it's a direct download. And that's definitely not for business, but for personal. Thank you, Vanessa.
Oh, no problem. And I'll make sure a link is added to that On the Hub too. I know you had some on the slide, but just in case people are curious. We just got a question. Is the Windows 11 operating system supported?
It will be once the 10 expires. The actual products that we have today, like your Dell, will upgrade. There's a downloadable version of the 11. So you'll get notifications from ITS when that transition will happen, or you may even see it pop up on your computer. But any of our Dell products actually have that on the computers you have today.
Another question. We currently have auto pay set up for our cell phone bills. The bill is paid with our P card. However, we don't have access to our account as the bill is under finance. How can we gain access to our account so we can print the invoices remotely?
Yes, so you can actually gain access through myself. You can send me an email with your email signature, and that's specifically either if you're talking Verizon or AT&T, you can email me for both. And what will happen with Verizon, it requires your email signature. There's certain contact information I'll need on there, along with your mobile number. The mobile number is needed for Verizon to do their verification. And if it's AT&T, again, I will reach out to the rep, and there's certain information that they require for their access. But yes, there's that availability. Just, you can just send me an email on that.
It sounds like this next question may have sort of been answered by the previous one. Will finance allow us to auto pay with their P card?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, they do allow that.
It looks like I got through the questions. Are there any other ones that we can help answer, or while we have some time? If not, I can move on to the polls. Well, let's move on to the polls, Sue, if you'd like, and then if there are more questions, I'll redirect.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so there's just some questions we wanted to ask you guys to kind of gauge your feedback about the procurement process. So I am going to put some polls on the screen. You should see one right now. Sue, do you see it, just to make sure?
Yes, I do see it.
Perfect. So these are completely anonymous. Like, we are not tracking how you answer, so feel free to be candid.
And if you have any other general comments you want to share, please feel free to put them in the chat as well. We want to hear from you.
Okay, it looks like most people answered. So I'm gonna just move on to the next one. But it looks like there's kind of a tie between rarely ordering devices and ordering just a few times a year, Sue.
Okay.
Move on to the next one. Here we go. All right, it looks like it's stalled in terms of answering. So I'm going to share the results really quick. So it looks like most people had a good experience. That's great. There's quite a bit of fair, and there's could use a bit of improvement. If you want to share any feedback you have about your experience with the process in detail, about, how we could improve something, feel free to share it with us. Or, I mean, if you want to, if you're a little shy, you can email Sue or I, separately, and we'd be happy to address whatever issue you might have had. Move on to the next one. All righty. Okay, so most everyone here is ordering for their department, so that's good. And one more, if you'll just bear with me, so I'll get to the last one. Here we go. Okay, so it looks like a lot of people are planning to order a device too. And I know that you had mentioned about wait times and getting in orders as soon as possible. I don't know if you want to reiterate anything there about a lead time for ordering. And that's it for our polls. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. I know we just have a few minutes left. Are there any other questions before we wrap up today's session?
So I actually do see a direct message to myself.
Oh,
And
okay.
as far as the wire transfer, that actually is an option in the payment rec. We have two people that are actually doing that right now. So it's just not for international. It can be for US companies. So you can definitely do that. It, again, you'll see the option in the payment rec. It gives you the option to select wire transfer. Again, if you have any questions or want to know more about how to do that, I can certainly email me. But we do have two people that are doing, or I should say, two departments that are actually doing that now.
I think, oh, who would I reach out to regarding auto pay with finance P card? Would that be you, Sue?
Yes, you can reach out to me about that, certainly.
Okay, perfect. It looks like those are all the questions. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And thank you to Sue again for giving us all this information, answering all these questions. Again, I did record the session, so I'll be sending it to you hopefully by tomorrow morning. I just have to get it up online and make sure that it's running properly. Are there any other parting words, Sue, that you have for everybody about the procurement process?
Yes, I truly do thank you for your time. I'm always available for any questions you may have. Again, Vanessa's going to send you all the information you need, the presentation and resources, links that you can tap into to get more information on what we shared. It really has been a pleasure, and I hope this was helpful and informative. And enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a good one.